Yes, guys, we are back again. And you know what? This one is definitely different to the other videos I've been doing. I have already told you that I want to know more about Elvis. We've done one documentary so far. I've just seen and reacted to the trailer of the new Epic, it's called, Elvis Presley in Concert. Trailer's out. It's coming out in February, I believe, in the UK. In the IMAX cinemas. And I was like, mate, I'll be all over that. And then I was just looking for Elvis videos or whatever the other day. I was looking at his jewellery and I was curious. I was like, I wonder how much like stuff like that is, like how much he bought it for and stuff. And then I come across a Reddit, what's it called? A Reddit post. And it says, what is a random Elvis story or fact that you've heard but have never had the chance to talk about it? And I just thought, I'm not even going to look at this right now. I'm going to save it for a video and I'm going to read some of the things that people are saying, and maybe I'll learn stuff, maybe you'll learn stuff, or maybe it's all just a load of crap that isn't even true. I don't know, but I just thought, why not try and make a little video about it? Because I am trying to learn me stuff, and if you're looking at this thinking, hold on, that's new, I have made a video that has been blocked worldwide. It was a suggestion from one of our subscribers, Trudy, and I was asked, could you do My Way by Elvis, but also do Frank Sinatra as well in the same video and just compare them? It's not like a big versus match, but you can call it what you want. It's been blocked, but I've disputed it, and hopefully that's going to be out. And I explain in that video, me and my girlfriend, we went with our little one to the Emporium, and it's like antiques and all that. And I was looking for just random stuff. We're making a music video, my band RAYGO. Bloom. If you haven't seen us, check some of our music out. It's pretty cool. We're making a new song, and the theme is like war and army. So I thought, if we go around this Emporium, maybe there's like an old canteen or flask or whatever that I could find. Anyway, there wasn't, but there was a plaque. It's like tin metal Elvis plaque. And as soon as I seen it, I was just like, I'm down a rabbit hole right now where I'm loving Elvis Presley. And it's just sick. It looks vintage. And yeah, I'm buzzing with it. It was only £8, but I just seen it literally flicking through some stuff, and I was just like, saw Elvis writing in big, and I was like, nah, I'm having it, let's go. So I've just stuck it on the wall, why not? Anyway, let's get into this little Reddit post, because I want to see if there's any facts that I don't know, which there's going to be millions of facts I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But maybe there's some stuff you don't know either. So, what is a random Elvis story or fact that you've heard but have never had the chance to talk about it? Right, we'll just say what the first one is. It says, I think nobody talks about how many people Elvis was supporting from the time he was 21, and the stress of that responsibility must have been incredible. So, we kind of, in the documentary, the press conference, I said about this because my timeline, I was like, how famous was he before he went into the army? You know what I'm saying? And I'm assuming he must have been around 21 or something, just off this. I don't know, it might have been younger. But the whole point is, before he went into the army, he'd already made it. And in because that's why they were giving him a press conference once he'd just come out in 1960, and he was just explaining what he'd been up to whilst he was in the army. And I was like, well, hang on, how famous was he before? Because the Ed Sullivan Show was in like 56. He must have done his, people have said maybe like 54 or something, he did his first like concert or whatever, like, which would have been a small time gig. So within that like 2 years or maximum of 4 years or whatever, he's managed to make himself, I assume, worldwide famous. So he must have had a lot of money coming in, because his music is going off the movie, the Elvis movie, his music was on everywhere, and then they were back to back in it on the radio station, because it was like, nah, I don't want to hear nothing else now I've heard Elvis, I just want to hear that again. So the radios were playing it, repeating it all day, you know what I mean? So yes, it must have been stressful being 21 and having, but at the same time he bought Graceland before he went into the army, so he must have been bundled up at that time. So I don't know how much stress it was, because when it's your family, you don't care, you're going to share that wealth anyway. But still, we know he was a generous guy, you know what I mean? He had a pet monkey. Nobody talks about the monkey. Indeed, he had a chimp named Scatter that Elvis obtained from a local radio station. Apparently Scatter had a taste for liquor and women. What? Is that true? I mean, he must have had a chimp. That's a crazy one though. I saw like a, I don't know if it was like a news article or whatever, but someone, it might have been like a video or Netflix or something, someone had a chimp, because in America or somewhere, it wasn't illegal to have them. Over here, my uncle actually, the Elvis he's not an Elvis impersonator, but my uncle, John, who loves Elvis, he actually used to have a little spider monkey, you know, like Ace Ventura, and he's got photos of it. He used to be down Bournemouth Beach when he was like 20 years old. He had a monkey and people used to just come and take photos of it. But apparently someone had like the whole face ripped off by a monkey that they had a chimp as a pet. We're going off topic, you know what I mean? Look, I've got a Guinness. I've got nowhere to be. So if you've got somewhere to be, I'm sorry. But if you haven't, crack yourself open a little beverage and just chill with me. You know what I mean? This is just a chilled video, this one. Right, someone says, I'm just going to read these out and I don't know if they're good points or not. I live in Memphis and from time to time I meet older people that had Elvis encounters. These are my two favourites so far. One guy was a contractor who worked at Graceland at a time when Elvis was typically in Vegas. Unexpectedly one day, Elvis walks into the area they're working, chats with them for a bit and offers them all food and drinks. They politely declined, but he insisted, and a few minutes later he returned with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for everyone. He sat around for some time after talking with the group. No way! Imagine Elvis Presley's just made you a little PB&J sandwich. Here's another thing. Me and my brothers, we do different things on YouTube. We actually started our YouTube career, not career because we don't get paid. Well, we've been paid a little bit, but nothing mega. Basically doing mukbangs. So we would try like all American food and English food, but mainly we've been through so many American foods like gumbo, Frito pie. We've done peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, all kinds of stuff, all the different takeaways and stuff, biscuits, butter, honey biscuits. We've done a Thanksgiving special and all that. And we actually tried, but it was years ago, we tried a version of the Elvis sandwich. And do you know what? I think I'm going to have to try it again. Yeah, I might have to do a little reaction for you guys. Try an Elvis's sandwich. Why not? But yeah, that's a cool story. Imagine you're just working away in Graceland. That must have been cool. And then Elvis just comes and chills and sits down. How many questions would you have had for him? I mean, personally, because I play the guitar and stuff, I'll be like, Elvis, if we're on a break, should we get the guitar out and have a little jam? Right, an older lady I met went to the gates of Graceland for a couple of hours over the course of a few weeks, trying to catch a glimpse. Eventually, she saw him riding down the driveway on a horse, and he came right up to her to chat because she was the only one around. She told him that no one would ever believe that she actually met him, so he stubbed out the remainder of his cigar and handed it over. She still had it and keeps it in a Ziploc bag. That's so cool. No way. What a guy. So he's just sat there riding his horse around his land, looked down, seen a woman outside the gate and just thought, come on, she would love to meet me right now. Not in a big-headed way, but obviously everyone wants to meet Elvis. And he's just trotted over on his horse and just gone, look, keep that. Oh, what a G. Just making people's days, you know what I mean? Okay. Elvis loved going to the movies. In Vegas, apparently he mainly watched westerns, but my favourite detail is that he loved Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. To have been able to sit next to him watching that movie, hearing him laugh, I can only imagine him enjoying Slim Pickens. I'm going to get them Bombay doors open if it hair lips everyone on Bear Creek. I don't know this film, so to me, I can't relate to that one, I don't know. But I love films as well. I would love to sit down and watch a film with Elvis. Right, what else have we got? Jerry Lee Lewis was on a bender, crashing cars, and his father got arrested too. After flipping one car, Jerry had to buy a new one. He went to a club where someone gave him a gun. Hearing that Elvis was depressed, Jerry decided to cheer him up. He drunk drove to Graceland with the gun on his dashboard. When he arrived at the gates, he demanded, "Tell Elvis the killer is here to get him." Elvis saw this on a security TV and the security guard refused to let Jerry in, calling the cops instead. Jerry, seeing the police lights, tried to throw out the bottle of alcohol, but it shattered because the car window was still up. It's such a cartoon and bad behaviour, but I have looked up details about this from every angle. It keeps getting stupider. Even seen an interview where Jerry wonders if he was there to kill Elvis, like they said, and not just hang out. So who's Jerry Lee Lewis? Let's just Google that. Jerry Lee Lewis. So Jerry Lee Lewis was nicknamed the Killer. He was an artist and pianist, and he was described as rock and roll's first great wild man. So obviously he's turned up with a gun on his lap. The security have seen it, and he said, "Actually tell Elvis the killer is here to see him." Yeah, you probably shouldn't have started with that, you know what I mean? But that's a crazy story. Yeah, they must have been friends. It's the same, like, I imagine if he's the bad boy of music at the time, he's going to want to chill with Elvis, and Elvis is probably... There's always circles in groups. You know, like rock bands or indie music, like when Oasis were out, there was also like Stone Roses and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, there's always... Like when hair metal was going on, there was always bands all the same, and they would all bump into each other. So I assume it's just like that. They just know each other and might have been mates. You tell me if there's more to it, but either way, pretty cool story. Let's do a couple more. My parents saw him in Vegas in '77, about a month before he died. My dad says it's still the best concert he ever saw. A minute into Promised Land, the bass player and the drummer got their timing mixed up and were laughing to each other as they got back on rhythm. Elvis stopped the band mid-song, turned back to those guys and asked, "You fellas ready to go to work?" They restarted the song and played it flawlessly. Just a king taking care of business. Cool. That's the thing, we've said this before in all of Elvis's videos. We know how, not finicky he must have been, but he dabbled, because he would prompt the orchestra and like the choir section, the string section, whatever, with his moves and stuff like that. He's obviously orchestrated this in rehearsals and gone, right, when I get to this point, I want you to drop out, I want you to do this, blah, blah, blah. So he must have had such a good, the fact, I think the bass player, is it Jerry, I want to say? Jerry Chef or something, something like that, I know it is. They were together like for 9 years or something like that. I remember from comments, I'll probably get some of it mixed up, but I know they must have all really got on. They went, you know, they played for years together, so anything like that, you're not going to be mad at your band member, you know what I mean? He would have just been like, come on, we're all up here, we're all having a good time, let's do it properly though, come on, for the people, you know what I'm saying? Right, I have seen probably every documentary or biography video of him from the 80s and 90s, and I remember a story of someone telling about how Elvis dyed his hair black with shoe polish and it started raining and it all started running down his face and he was mortified. I've never been able to find the interview now that I'm an adult and it drives me crazy. I've looked for years and I've asked around. If anyone can tell me what and who said that, you will answer a question that has been bugging me for years. I actually, funny enough, saw that when I was looking on Google at the same time. I saw that his hair, you can kind of tell like it's jet black, but he did used to dye it, didn't he? Apparently it was like light, not like proper blonde or anything, or maybe it was even towards blonde, if not light brown, wasn't it? In fact, I'm going to finish it on the last one. It's interesting that you asked this question right now because it was only July 8th, 1954 that Dewey Phillips of Memphis, WHBQ Radio, played a new song, That's Alright Mama, and it's Flip, Blue Moon of Kentucky. On his Red Hot and Blue R&B show, it was an instant hit and the song immediately played 14 more times. Callers to the station insisted that the singer, a local boy named Elvis Presley, must be a black man. Elvis himself, who knew the airplay in advance, hid out at a local movie, but response was so immediate and positive that Dewey tracked him down for a live radio interview later that evening. That's crazy. But this is the thing, not that back in the day there wasn't the internet, you know what I mean? So if someone's made a song and had it recorded, no one was just recording songs at your own home. You was going to a studio, and at the beginning of that film it looked like a radio station with a studio. Is that what he was saying? Dewey Phillips. Well, they played it on there. I don't know if it was recorded there, but regardless, he's recorded a song, given it to the radio station. They've played it, and it was that much of a hit. It was played 14 times. That's mental. Like, that wouldn't happen this day and age. There's too much saturating the airways for starters. But no one's even that good. There isn't a song that good. You hear it where it's like, that song's been played a couple times today. But 14 times, it must have just been like blowing everybody's mind, you know what I mean? And rightly so. Rightly so. Because we all know one thing, Elvis Presley's an absolute legend. Right, we'll leave it there for this one. If I should do more of these types of videos, let me know. And if I should stick to reactions, let me know that as well in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next one.